Beep boop bop, it's Becca, and welcome back to Baking with Becca. So today, we are going to be making some vegan mini apple pies. I'm so excited for this because my brother got me these adorable mini pie tins. I have 4 of them, and so we're gonna do some experimenting with them today and make some mini pies. Here we go. So here are all of our ingredients for our dough for the crust of the pie. So let's start over here. We have 2 1/4 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, 3/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons of Crisco vegetable shortening, 1/3 cup of cold water. Okay, so we are going to start off by adding our salt into our flour. And we're going to be using this special whiskey tool when we add the Crisco in. So I'm just going to mix it a little bit like this. And now we want to add in our Crisco. So the purpose of using this blender thing is to get it into very fine pieces. So we really just want to mash up the Crisco until it really blends all the way in with the flour. It should kind of be the consistency of coarse peas. So this looks nice and finely combined, which is what we want because we don't want any big chunks of Crisco in our dough. So I'm just going to take 1 tablespoon of the cold water. I'm going to sprinkle it in and start mixing with the fork. Okay, so now I'm going to keep adding a tablespoon of water at a time until this forms our dough. So this is our second one. And the cold water is really going to help it come together. I really hope this turns out well. This is actually my grandmother's recipe, so I'm really excited to be trying it in the new mini pans. So I finished adding the water, and I ended up adding about 1 to 2 more tablespoons just because it wasn't coming together quite enough. So now we can form this into a ball with our hands. And if you think it's too dry, feel free to just add as much extra water as you think you need. I'm going to form this together. And then I'm going to wrap this in saran wrap, and I'm going to let it sit in the fridge while we make the filling for our dough. So here are all the ingredients we're going to be using for our filling. So we have 4 apples, ground cinnamon, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1.5 tablespoons of margarine, and lemon juice. So our first step in making the filling is going to be peeling all of these apples. So this might be the most time-consuming part of making the pie, but it will be worth it. So these red apples that I have here are farm fresh, got them from the farmer's market on Saturday. So I'm excited about those, they have such a good flavor to them. And then we also have our green apples that we're going to be using because they just add a lot of tartness. So feel free to add a variety of types of apples because it's just going to give you lots of different flavors. And yeah, so I'm going to keep peeling these. So now it is time to cut the apples. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it into a thin slice like this. I'm going to keep it pretty thin. I'm going to do this all the way around. And then these slices I'm actually going to cut in half. So these go right down the middle. And then these pieces are ready. And I'm going to go all the way around the apple, cutting the slices. This also may be a little time consuming, but it will be worth it. And you have a little snack along the way. So I transferred the apples over into a bowl. They're all cut nicely. And so we are going to add our sugar in. And we're going to add in a lot of cinnamon because this is where we're going to get such a good flavor boost. I'm going to shake in. We'll mix it up and see how it looks. That right there is probably a teaspoon. And we'll also add in a little bit of the lemon juice now. This will just give it a little bit of an extra sour flavor because the apples are going to get very sweet, especially when they're cooked. So a little bit of lemon juice. And we'll mix it up. So it's all mixed in. It looks like a nice cinnamon to apple ratio. So now we are going to roll out our dough. Time to roll out the dough. So I'm gonna put a little bit of flour down on here. It's so funny, all my recipes recently have used rolling pin and floured surfaces and crazy. Nice and moist. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit of flour on the top of here so it doesn't stick, and we're gonna start rolling. Ooh, this feels so good. Arm workout. You want to roll this out pretty thin. And as you go, feel free to add a little bit more flour so it doesn't stick. Okay, so it's time to cut out the dough. It's all rolled out. So I'm just going to use this as like a template. I put it up here. I'm going to cut a little bit around the edges. Pick up the dough and hope that doesn't break or anything. I'm gonna place it right on the inside of our crust. So you want to let it tuck in a little bit. Then you're gonna push it up against the sides. So you're gonna get a little clumped up over here, but you can fix that just by pushing it in. Okay, so I have 3 of the pie tins ready to go. They have their dough on the inside, and then we have the top ready right here. And now we're going to take the apples and we are going to add them into our pan. So, take one like this, lie it down. This. So it is filled with all the apples. Then to add a little bit of extra juices, we're gonna take our margarine, so our 2 tablespoons of margarine. We're just gonna cut little bits off. I'm gonna place it right on top of the apples. And now it is time to cover. So I'm gonna take the crust, I'm gonna line it up with the shape. I'm just gonna press it in a little bit. And now we're gonna make a couple slits in the top just so the pie can breathe and it won't explode. I'm just gonna do a little slit here. And now I will finish doing this with the rest of the pies. Ta-da! We have all 4 of our pies ready here. We ended up having enough dough to do 4. They are almost ready to go into the oven, so I melted the rest of the margarine that we were using. And I'm just going to use my finger to spread some on the top. And this is going to make them get a little shiny while they're baking, a little golden. I'm going to finish brushing this on, and then they are going to bake in a preheated oven at 400 degrees. And honestly, I'm not quite sure how long because they're so small, and I will let you know after how long they take. And in the oven they go. The pies are done and they are so adorable. They ended up baking for about 30 to 35 minutes and they have their nice golden color on here and the apples are nice and baked. We also decided to make some whipped cream This is vegan whipped cream, of course. If you want to learn how to make this, go check out my tie-dye cake video from last summer. We used that as the frosting. It was delicious. You can learn how to make that there. And now let's cut into this. Oh, hear the crunch. Wow. Look at that. And let's try it. Oh wow, it's so steamy. That is so good. The apples are cooked perfectly. The crust is so nice and crispy and crunchy. It's such a nice blend together, and the whipped cream just makes it perfect. These pies are incredible. And if you don't have these mini pie tins like I have, don't worry, you can make the same recipe in a normal pie tin. It just won't be quite as cute, but you know, you can make it work. So give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Make sure to subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you want me to make next time or any ideas for the future, and I will see you next time. Bye.